Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Hyrule Chronicles. I am ArticulateT, the Game Master. This is episode 27, I think. Although I may be wrong. We'll find out soon enough. Joining me...
SoundCloud app.
Joining me today, I have Renji being played by TheNetherlad.
Always a pleasure.
I have Hikan being played by Alvarance.
Hello.
I have Ziden being played by RoboPirate.
Hi, I'm here.
And I have Max being played by Keastreth.
Hello.
And once again, we do indeed lack a Steve playing Sho, but he should be back on British soil soon, and hopefully around for the next session. I really hope he is. But in the meantime, we shall continue the adventure with our current crew. So if someone would like to go ahead and recap us on what the hell happened the last session.
It is indeed episode 27. I did just look it up, just to be safe. But yeah. So we went back to the ranch and dealt with things, and then Renji was nervous, and I think that he went to go puke in the corner. I'm not
Again?
sure.
No
I wasn't
puking?
there.
This is slander.
I didn't go check on him. And then after that, we decided to go get more information from the dude, and we ended up learning a little bit about not much, but we got a code thingy and some other things, and we sent it all with the guards to go get to Larson, because we were like, damn, we're already on a mission. We can't go back to Hyrule Castle now. But we decided that we'll go ahead and deal with it later if it's still going on when we get back. And then we went over to Kakariko after I bought all the horses treats, because they were really good horses, and I totally just wanted to stay with my friends, and I have no internal reasons for not going into the village at all. And I'm pretty certain that Renji had a very touching moment with his mom, and Ziden got an inn, and I helped bandage Max up after he got shot in the leg, and then we met a Deku scrub, and I almost didn't know what one of those was, and he gave us Dodongo jerky.
Yeah. That pretty much sums
Did
up the
not
whole
give it
experience.
to you.
It was given in exchange for money.
Currency has been exchanged.
Indeed. So that has indeed occurred. And we find ourselves back in Kakariko, and additionally on the outskirts of Kakariko, as the morning sun rises to meet everyone. Everyone has experienced a full rest, so you can get all your things back. And as you rise in the morning, who would like to? Actually, no. We'll start with Renji.
Renji?
Renji.
I see. I have acquired an accent.
You have acquired an accent. I have no idea what accent I am doing, but I am doing one apparently.
Sounds French.
Sounds French. A vague approximation of French.
The French are approaching.
The French are offended.
Yes,
But
I do apologize to my two French friends.
I'm just sorry for anybody for any accents that I try and do and fail at miserably, which will happen a fair amount. But yes, Renji, you wake up in your room. It's a weird feeling waking up here. Like, it feels there is the briefest of moments where you feel like maybe like the past many years may not have happened, but then you suddenly come back into the whole sort of you immediately remember why you are here, what has just occurred, and
as I turn over, I bump into my stuffed Cuckoo plushie.
it kind of jingles a bit. It's like... How big is this plushie? Is it 1-to-1 scale, or is it comically larger or comically smaller than a normal cookie?
I would say it's comically larger. Like it used to be almost my size when I was, say, 6.
Nice. Oh dear. Yeah, it kind of like it jingles and squeaks as you roll over, and like your arm kind of flops over on top of it and squashes it slightly.
Does it summon many other Coco plushies?
Sadly not. No,
it's just a mundane plushie.
No,
Why do I even bother?
No squishy revenge squad for you.
Okay.
But as you kind of lie there and feel yourself dozing off slightly, you hear a voice from downstairs. Can I say, Renji, breakfast is ready?
I am awake almost immediately when I hear that. I'll probably I'll shout back. Just a moment. Gonna freshen up. And for the first time in years, I'm going to have a shower or whatever works for a shower in this house.
Mean the entire? I mean, probably not. But by the implication of the statement, does that mean the entire time you've been living at Hyrule Castle, you have not once bathed?
I can neither confirm nor deny. I have prestidigitation.
That's amazing.
Oh my God! The standards have just been lowered. Okay. So you head into your home's washroom, and much in the same, like it's an act that's more or less been kind of like, even though you've mainly been using prestidigitation all these years, it's something that you haven't really forgotten the standard routines of preparing the water, where to start, all this kind of stuff. How long?
Just for goodness sake, Renji does shower.
Yeah, I know.
Like in Castle Town, he does.
I know. It's just the way you began to phrase it. It was like, wait,
yeah.
hang on.
Yeah.
But yeah. So you freshen up. Do you take a particularly long amount of time, or do you kind of just?
No, I'm just going to make sure that I'm clean without resorting to magic immediately.
Okay.
And I do pick out some of the stuff I generally use for my face marks. Probably add a little bit of eyeliner.
Okay. Yeah, there is it's hard to tell. Like it's one of those things where it's the difference, for lack of a better equivalent. It's the difference between actual food and Ziden's good berries. In the sense of both fill you, but there's something a bit more satisfactory with food, as opposed to
food.
In the same sense of
I feel assaulted.
It's mainly in the sense of as you kind of finish freshening up and everything, and putting on your face marks and everything like that. The feeling of it just feels slightly more satisfying than the standard that you have come to know, especially in cases on days when you were in a hurry, where you just feel like it feels satisfying. Like you, in both instances, you felt clean, but this one feels better for some indescribable reason. Perhaps it was the notion.
It's the fresh Kakariko air.
Yeah. Perhaps it is fresh Kakariko air. Perhaps it is the notion of maybe stuff that has more effort put into it. It feels more worth it somehow. It's hard to describe. But as you finish freshening up and come downstairs to head into the dining area where you meet your mother, she kind of looks to you and smiles, and on the table in front of you is a series of foodstuffs that you have not seen in many, many years. I mean, granted, it is still the same sort of bread, fish, and meat, and everything that usually, and fresh fruits and everything that usually come with breakfasts. But it's like it's been too long, as far as you're aware, since you've had one of your mother's homemade meals in any capacity.
Mm. And also, like, is culture here much different from Castletown? Like, does it feel like we're in a different country?
Kind of.
Different spices, different, like...
Yeah, there's a different focus on a lot of things. Like, where Hyrule Castletown favors more of the savory stuff, over here there's a kind of a spice and a sweetness to everything that you've eaten. And I suppose culture-wise, it is sort of interesting, where Hyrule Castletown is boisterous and loud, and everybody's on the go all the time, everywhere. Kakariko is just kind of, I wouldn't say glacial. It's just slow and calm, methodical and formal, for lack of a better term. Like, everybody knows exactly what they need to do. They do stop and exchange pleasantries from time to time, but they don't spend too much time, and they allow themselves enough time to take care of the thing that they've done properly, and everybody kind of greets each other in a formal manner. There's not much of a jovial nature by comparison.
Right. I just sit down at the meal. I probably like fold my hands or put them together to give thanks for the meal to my mom, and just this looks wonderful, Mother.
Oh well. So long as it is satisfying and filling for you, then that is the important thing, no?
Oh, I mean, you have made quite a lot here. I'm not sure I can, like, finish all of this by myself, and I'm sure my friends are probably... they're still outside of the gates. Is there really no way we can, suppose if they're going to mess things up?
She solemnly shakes her head and says, it is a tradition that has been, well, I say tradition, it has been a custom, in a sense, for quite a while. Since Kakariko is not only our home, but it is also the place where we guard the bodies of the royal family, we don't want anybody nefarious coming in to mess with those bodies. And even if the way it was...
They're not nefarious, are they?
I know. And I trust you, and I trust your friends and everything, but the thing is that we cannot take many chances.
I am having trouble with our customs.
I will admit, in certain circumstances, the way our people have functioned have not exactly been the, the easiest to deal with. But there is a purpose to what we do, and we do have to take a lot of precautions, as it were. I mean, in certain circumstances, if a need arises and an emergency were to befall us, then yes, we would have to waive that to allow any aid that might come through. But for the moment, we have to keep this place secure.
I suppose. I don't want to
I can
stay in and argue with you while I'm here.
That's That's
I'm
fine.
I'm very happy for the food, Mother.
That's okay. And
Honestly.
I mean, old habits die hard. But if you feel like it is too much that you to eat and you want to provide it to your friends outside, then I can always see if I can prepare something for you to carry that out to them. I'm sure they would appreciate it.
That would be great. Yes. Thank you.
Of course.
I don't know what they'll think of Kakariko cooking, but I'm sure they'll appreciate it.
Of course. And afterwards she kind of does her own sort of formal bowing of the head to you before she then begins to tuck into her own portion. And
reciprocate.
And as you two begin to eat, we pull the camera out of the building and then swing it over to the inn where we see Ziden waking for the morning, or possibly having been awake for a while. The room is still fairly... it serves its purpose. The bed that you slept on was comfortable enough. And thankfully there is a nice pleasantly warm breeze that washes over through the valley that morning, so it wasn't as if the thin walls had caused you to be cold that night.
It's okay. Even cold, just be a bear. That's the solution to so many problems. So, Ziden is going to go through his morning rituals as well. Check his new stock of good berries. Have actual breakfast down if they're offering it.
Oh yes.
Clean up all that.
Yeah. The lady who runs the inn, Yuna, she's kind of, because not many people come through, she hasn't really seen the need to appropriately have other members of staff, so she more or less runs the place entirely by herself. And as you come down in order to seek out breakfast, she's already prepared something of a small buffet of things where you can pick what you like and then find a place to sit down and eat, as she provides mainly breads, meats, fruit, sort of thing. It's like a standard hotel buffet thing, but probably a bit more well prepared and presented by comparison.
Ziden will smile at her and say, how much do I owe you for this?
Oh, breakfast is part of the accommodation. You don't need to pay me anything extra for this sort of thing. Feel free to take as much as you like, and when you're ready, I will take your room key from you, and you can... you'll be free to go about your day as you see fit.
Ziden will take a sensible amount. He doesn't feel any need to gorge, unlike some people. And then he'll offer up the room key and head out for the day. Okay. His destination of choice is the graveyard.
Okay. All right. So you finish your meal. It's fairly nice, actually, all things considered. Like it's not one of those. It's not a meal that is really like knock out of the park sort of things, but it's satisfactory, and you kind of walk away from the Waystar Inn with a sense of just plain old satisfaction. So as you and you wander through the village, you can see some of the Kakariko villagers here are already in the process of going about their daily working routines. You see a scribe or two briskly walking from one building to another with an armful of scrolls. You see someone going around delivering mail or messages to various places. There's one building in particular that you notice as you walk past, and it stands just in front of the windmill, the solitary windmill that sits at the back of the village, just next to the entrance to the royal graveyard. And it's probably, despite the fact that all the houses here are very compact and designed to be sufficient and pretty much just enough for someone to live in, this one's probably the biggest one. Has 2 stories and seems rather elegantly designed, but otherwise it is more or less like the others. It is a smallish building.
Would Ziden recall what the building was or whose it was?
How long have you been away from Kakariko?
Many, many years.
Okay, in that case, for a non-exact amount of time, I'm going to need an intelligence check to see if you remember. 17.
A 17.
This is a house which is dedicated, or this, as far as you remember, this seems to be a house that is owned or, it's owned by whoever the current Grand Master is.
Okay. His goal isn't the royal graveyard; it's the normal graveyard for Sheikah.
Oh right, okay.
Unless they do go to the royal graveyard as well.
I suppose in this instance, it's like kind of at least next door to it, actually in a sense, I feel like there's the royal graveyard which sits in the center of the Sheikah graveyard as a whole. So even the dead Sheikah will stand guard and protect the royal family. So as you kind of enter into this area, you see the rows of graves, all of which seem to have a headstone of finely carved what appears to be marble. And you can see which ones are definitely belonging to the Sheikah, because they all have the same standard Sheikah eye with the teardrop. And then all the ones that belong to the royal family all are adorned with the Triforce. There are a lot of Sheikah graves. And as you kind of enter, you feel a sort of a light breeze wash over the area. You can see at this point in time, since you probably are aware of its existence more or less, you can see just behind the graveyard there's a small rise, and on that rise is a cave, the entrance flanked by 2 torches. You know this to be the entrance to the Shadow Temple, a place that was once a location of fervent worship of Sheikah, but has now since been kind of recognized more or less as a nexus of magic for purposes that are far too grand for today's needs, or possibly the purpose of it has been forgotten over time, and it just kind of stands there as a relic.
Okay. Ziden is going to go pay his respects to his departed parents.
Okay.
I imagine by his age, they probably wouldn't have been around any longer.
Oh no. Were you? I suppose in the case of, were you present when your parents passed away?
We will go yes.
Okay. So as you navigate through the Sheikah graves, and you eventually find the 2 headstones that belong to your mother and father, and it's, as you inspect them closer, you can see that not a grain of dust nor a speck of dirt has defiled the headstones themselves. They seem almost as if new. It could be the diligent work of the gravekeeper, or it could just be some kind of magical enchantment. Who knows? But they remain there, and they inscribed, carved into the marble, details their names and their deeds specifically, like the thing that they are most known for.
Okay. After doing that, of paying his respects, kneeling down, saying his prayers, giving his new druid blessing, because I imagine he was not a druid at the time when they passed.
Hmm.
He will get back up to go find the Gravekeeper.
Okay. So you head over and find the Gravekeeper. There's a singular building. Tiny building near the entrance. It looks like a shed. And as you wander over, you kind of see there's a single window, and this is the Gravekeeper's, effectively, this house. He doesn't have an actual home in the rest of the village, but he seems contented enough.
He will politely knock on the door.
Okay, so you knock on the door. As a brief moment, it's like, what do you want?
Hello?
Give me a minute. And there's a bit of a rattle as you go, and actually I'm gonna see if he manages to. Nope.
Uh-oh.
So there's a and there's a as something hits something. It's like, and he opens the door. And you see inside is an individual that you're not exactly sure is Sheikah.
Oh, God.
His ears are rounded and his face is squared, but he has the same kind of skin complexion, and his eyes are a vibrant red. And he kind of stands with a hunched back as he looks over to you, and he already he's scowling, and he's like, "Oh, what do you want? I was sleeping."
Just to check, did anyone else get that vocal distortion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Vocal
It was very
distortion. Oh, okay.
Can confirm it.
All right. Do you want me to repeat what I said?
No, I heard what you said. It was just for a moment. It was your voice got very weird.
All right. Okay.
Yes, Ziden will turn to the man and say, "Oh, my deepest apologies for awakening you so soon. I was hoping to inquire about a few things, if you were willing.
All right.
Can
Give me a
come back
second.
later."
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. That's absolutely fine. Let me just and he just slams the door shut. And there's more and eventually he comes back out and he has like a little pad and a pencil held in one hand, and resting on his other shoulder is a shovel, and he waddles out and then closes the door behind him and says, "All right, what do you want?"
It has been some time since I've been here. I was curious as to what is the current policy on placing head markers, at least for non-Sheikah individuals.
Non-Sheikah. Are they members of the royal family?
No.
And he takes a shovel and stabs it into the ground in order for it to kind of stand on its own, and then he flips through his little notepad. Well, I suppose if you speak to the Grand Master, you can probably get some kind of honorary thing, maybe. I know that some Sheikah grow very attached to family members who are not Sheikah, and would like to be buried with each other. But, you know, it's a complicated matter that won't be solved in a single day.
Oh, that's okay, as long as there is some progress to be made.
All right. Well, how about this? I'll note down your name and the name of the person that you want a gravestone for, and I'll see what I could do, or be prepared at the very least in case Master Meyer wants to do something with that.
Oh, thank you very much. So, my name is Ziden Shari.
Ziden Shari, okay. And your headstone person?
There would be two.
2, okay.
The first would be. Um, the first would be Rallis.
Rallis. How do you spell that?
Ralis.
Okay. Do they have a last name?
It is mine as well.
Okay, Ziden Shari. And the other one?
Medley.
Medley. Okay. And Medley Shari?
Indeed.
And how do you spell this? Like medley as in music, or?
Yes, like melody.
Ah, okay. Melody. Alright. Okay. Rallis and Medley. Okay. And he snaps the book shut. He says, I'll keep their, I'll keep that in check so I can start work faster in case something happens.
Thank you kindly.
Now remember, I won't be able to talk to Master Zelishmeyer myself, so you just have to say that if you want a headstone from Dampe, that you'll need to speak to him directly, and that if you do get it, then he can always pass the message on to me and I can start to work.
Okay, thank you kindly.
Of course. Now, is there anything else I can do to help out, or can I go back to sleep?
No, that's all. Have a good rest.
All right. Thank you. Have a good day. And he just kind of wanders in, yanks the shovel out from the dirt, and then slams the thing back shut again, at which point there's another cacophonous noise and clattering of everything inside, before it finally settles down, and presumably Dampe attempts to return to sleep.
Okay. Ziden will start to leave the graveyard towards the main house then.
Okay. Excellent. Yeah, I'll have to remind myself to get a drink after that. Oh, God. Oh, well. Yeah, so you head back to the main area. It was, I suppose at this time, about this time, Renji, you have finished your breakfast and have
As far as I could, yes.
as far as you could. Have you requested that the remaining food be put together for your friends, or are you going to leave it there?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to have the Sheikah equivalent of a doggy bag, because my mom can cook good food, and
Yeah.
I want my friends to know that.
Okay. Excellent. So you get your stuff done. Is there anything else that you need to take care of with your mother before you head out?
Just one big thing, and I, like, as I'm getting ready to leave, I just give her a hug, like more than half a minute, definitely.
She gladly returns the hug, just kind of holds you close, and then probably out of habit, just kind of strokes the back of your head, and it's just like if you've been adventuring for a while, then you're more than welcome to come and visit whenever you like. I'm sure your father would not mind.
I think I'd like that, yes. Again, thank you
No,
for everything.
perfectly fine. Now go on. You have important adult things to take care of.
Yes, I do. I'll try and find my friends and set about to do that.
Okay. She smiles and walks with you back to, when you fully get ready, walks with you back to the entrance of the house, and then as you leave, she does she leans on the doorframe and watches you go.
I like at a as I leave the front garden, I turn and see her and just wave and walk off. My cape of my cloak of protection fluttering in the wind, showing the shimmering eye of the Sheikah.
Okay. Excellent. Yes. And unless you two collect, I'm imagining as you kind of both leave, you both meet up. Is there anything you two want to do in Kakariko before heading out to the entrance to meet with the rest of your party?
Well, Ziden needs to speak with the main guy, but is that going to be once we got everyone, or?
Well, it can't be because I can't enter the town.
And if you're hoping to speak to Zelish Meyer, then Zelish Meyer's all the way back in Hyrule Castletown.
Ah, okay.
He's the leader of the Sheikah, but he's also the king's personal bodyguard.
Well, in that case, it's just going to stare at Renji, remembering he can get him into the castle.
My inn.
Oh dear. But yeah. So as you head out and return down the stairs, you meet with the rest of your companions, who, in this intervening time, you've woken up, having camped out for the night. It is very much a pleasant morning. Looking around, you find that Cashew, the Deku Scrub traveling merchant that you encountered last night, has long since departed. You can't see it. You can't see a comically large bonsai tree anywhere. But otherwise, it is fairly nice. You can hear the gentle trickling of the Rudan River that the entrance to Kakariko is very close to. And the sky is very much clear, and the sunrise is a very pleasant sight on the horizon.
So is everyone together then, or?
Can be.
I think this is a meanwhile thing.
Yeah. So
Right.
while they
Or
were
is it
doing their
meanwhile?
thing in the
Okay.
Kakari, did you guys have anything specific you wanted to do before they arrived?
Like, I know I was joking about this, but Max,
What?
I know that I'm not the best with words, but I do notice a lot of things, and I've been kind of asking people a bunch of things, and like the stuff that they do with like magic and stuff. Does your magic make you angry?
As you say that bit just before the last sentence, Max is like fin stretching. He just stops. Just this realization of, oh no.
Does your magic make you angry?
None of your business.
I'm sorry, that was a bit quiet.
He said it's none of your business.
Okay. Okay.
Ferry is just kind of like, as she's finishing putting on the rest of her chainmail, she looks over to the two of you and is like, just not gonna get involved in that this morning. Yeah. As you kind.
All you need to know is it doesn't belong. And then he just angrily packs his bag and goes away to the others.
Okay. So as you guys pack up camp, Tyrina just kind of gives a reassuring pat on Hikan's shoulder and just quietly signifies that it's best to leave that alone for now. I'm sure if he wants to say anything, he'll open up.
Okay. It's just... Hikan's just kind of like shrugging.
I'll do my best to explain when I can, or at least in a sense, you know.
Thank you. Want some more jerky?
Yeah, you know what? I think I could do with some more jerky.
And I give Tyrina some more Dodongo jerky. Max, do you want some more jerky?
Max doesn't turn around and keeps walking towards the entrance of the city to town to wait for the others.
I tried.
Okay. Just, so as you return to the entrance of town, you can see pretty much Renji and Ziden wandering down the stairs.
Max is very pointedly waiting like an inch away from the entrance.
Nice. As Renji and Ziden get like about 5 feet away from the very bottom of the stairs, there's a light. There's a light sound as of like the padding of 2 feet on stone, very quietly but very perceptible, especially to those who are seeing it, because behind Renji and Ziden you see the previous town guard, now significantly more visible under the morning sun, return, and then she wanders past Renji and Ziden and collects the camping supplies that she provided you the previous night from Tyrina, and says, "All right, is your business all said and done?"
I believe so, for now at least.
Okay. So I overheard in some circles, as well as possibly from you telling me last night, that you were searching for a hermit.
Yes, that is the assignment we were given.
Okay.
They might know more about certain events in Castletown.
All right. If that is the case, then if you want to find this hermit, then what you will need to do is follow the Rudan River north. On this side of the river, a short ways in that direction, you will find the Firevine Forest. That is where this hermit dwells. But after you get to the edge of that forest, you are on your own. It is a tricksy place.
Do you know the name of this hermit?
She mulls it over briefly and says, "I do not."
Well, any other information that you could give us to help us on our way?
I'd say if you're not prepared for a fight, then you will need to be prepared for a fight. After all, the enchantment that lies over the Firevine Forest is not as foolproof as the Lost Woods are, but they are significantly more violent than the Lost Woods, if you're aware of what that is like.
I just put a hand on the hilt of my longsword, which I still carry even though I rarely use it. But the guard doesn't know.
Yeah.
I've just been glaring at her this entire time.
Very well.
Hikan has been pointedly avoiding eye contact, hiding his face.
Very well. If that is the case, then I wish you luck. And she slowly and pointedly walks back up the stairs until she is out of sight.
I want to see how she hides herself.
Okay. Make a perception check.
I want to learn from the best, and surpass them. That's a 20.
Okay. So
4.
let's see. Okay, she's stealthy, but not as stealthy as your father is, evidently. So as you watch, you can see that she kind of finds a crevice in the stone that rises on each side of the staircase. One that is covered by shadow from the morning sunlight, and using some kind of magic or some kind of spell kind of melds in with it, and then seems to utilize that cover to maneuver herself up the wall and back into position.
Okay. Will it be something to that I could try and like incorporate into my own hiding?
It might be, but it would require a fair bit of practice. So
Fair enough.
Something to jot down and note for later, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, as you are left to your own devices, do you make your way north to the Firevine Forest?
I
Yeah.
would think so, unless someone else has another idea.
No. I think we should just get going.
Onwards then.
Okay. So, you trudge north, and following the bank of the Rudon River, you see that the rough and jagged cliffs and stone to your right begin to kind of dissipate a bit into grassy fields, or at least grassland, which is very flat and far more forgiving on the feet. However, as you... this doesn't last for long, as it's quite clear later on that you are suddenly beset by a series of trees. Trees.
Those dastardly trees.
Dastardly
How dare
trees.
they?
They are treasonous.
Yes. Now, the forest itself seems very thick, and the trees themselves are green and definitely alive, though the actual green color of the trees is muted somewhat, almost as if the forest itself is despondent. And as you get closer, you notice that the feature that gives the Firevine Forest its name, in that the trees themselves, from the trunk all the way up to choke the branches, are these crimson vines, which are also covered in these angry orange leaves that kind of just envelop all of the trees almost in their entirety. And you can see that the red leaves from the vines are poking in between the green of the tree leaves themselves in a sense, at least now that you've gotten closer. It's a very peculiar sight.
Master looks to Ziden for explanations. He knows about plants.
I would assume that these are parasitic vines. 11.
11 on a nature check. It's difficult to say. I mean, they do present symptoms of a parasitic plant, like a weed, that's just kind of taken over this entire forest, but not to this scale. And if they were truly parasitic, then the trees wouldn't be as alive as they are, or at least they won't look as comparatively healthy as they would, at least from your knowledge. It might be a magical enchantment, but at this point, with 11, it's difficult to tell the exact cause behind it. Though from closer inspection, the vines themselves don't appear to be toxic or hostile to your presence, at least.
They seem not quite parasitic. The trees are in too good health. Well, should... Oh, actually, might be worth casting detect magic for if we're looking for a sage or hermit of some kind. It's possible he'll have his own magic accrements we could use to track him down.
Okay.
No one objects. Ziden will just take 10 minutes to ritual cast Detect Magic.
Okay. So you take 10 minutes, and as you finish the ritual and open your eyes, you see that the vines themselves are bright with this combination of enchantment and illusion. It's phenomenal. It's a weird case of like the natural red of the actual vines combined with the purple of illusion magic and the light blues of enchantment magic, and you find yourself kind of staring at this almost technicolor rainbow of a place. It's weird. It's like being on a trip, just kind of staring into this sea of color. Yeah.
Oh shit, Ziden's tripping out.
Ooh, boy.
It would appear all of the vines contain magic. Perhaps as part of the method via which this place will mess with the senses.
At least we know that going in.
Is everyone ready to venture forward?
In response to that, I summon a rapier, though it does seem a bit more styled towards the Sheikah style of swords,
Okay.
kind of like a curved blade to it.
Mhm.
I am. Are you?
Ziden will nod, getting out his stick.
Khan does a couple of stretches and then does the anime walking pose with like his hands behind his head.
Tyrina will heft the axe from the holster on her back, and so that she's got it in hand in case anything happens. Then gives the group a nod. And
Why are we all just standing here?
He'll continue into the forest.
Okay, so you continue into the forest as and after a moment, then the trees going past you, you feel already something is off. There's this weird sort of like, you continue walking in one direction for a moment, and as one of you turns around to have a look at something, you see behind you that you've traveled a lot further than you thought you had, or you travel somewhere and you don't recognize what's behind you. If you're hunting for the hunt for the hermit, I would like whoever is leading this expedition to make a survival check, to see how well they do considering the ever-changing terrain.
So, Ziden will be leading as the druid.
Okay.
Probably, yes.
Say you probably have a higher whiz than I do.
I was just going to ask RTA question in our chat.
Sure.
In the meantime, here is where we would have a small message from our sponsor. If we had any!
If we had any. Let's see.
Excellent.
Okay.
A 26 then.
26. Okay. So you continue wandering through the forest, and eventually, Ziden, as you kind of recognize the twists and turns magical terrain has had like this before. You have been in the Lost Woods for a small amount of time, at least comparatively speaking.
It's where Ziden learned to be a druid.
Yes. As you wander around a little, you begin to notice the patterns and where the illusion kind of lapses slightly. But then you get to a certain point, and eventually you begin to hear things. All of you begin to hear certain things, though at the moment, most of it is general murmuring or it sounds like the wind is murmuring slightly. I would be willing to provide more detail through perception checks if people would like to know.
I've got a 19 for you.
11.
A perception check. Oh, a 15.
And a 13 from me.
Okay. So 15, 13, 11, 19. All right. So, with the 11, Max, to you it sounds primarily like just wind. It seems like a breeze is blowing through the trees, so there's kind of a shaking of the leaves, which might sound like a whisper to some, but for you, you just feel like it's the breeze, nothing special.
Must have been the wind.
Yeah, must have been the wind. With the 13, Hikan, you hear coming from your left. You hear from the volume of it, and you approximate that it's somewhere in the region of say 40 feet away, possibly under some underbrush. You hear the whimpering of a small child. Seems unmistakable as you kind of focus your senses on it. Renji, coming from your left, you hear what appears to be the light conversation between two individuals, both of which have fairly high voices. You assume female at the very least, or at least very young. But there's kind of just mumblings and whisperings, and occasionally there's a breakout of a giggle. Like, Ziden, with your 19, you hear quite clearly on the wind, "Hey man, how's it going, man?"
I guess Ziden will respond. It's going quite well. We are currently searching for the hermit of this woods.
If I hear this, I will just like shush. Siden's like, there's whispers over there to the left.
What?
Guys, remember this is a illusionary forest designed to mess with you.
I just heard wind.
Hikan's like right when Ziden's like, remember, Hikan's like about like 10 feet away, and then it's like, right, and just walks backwards back to where he was in the group.
Looking for the old man, huh? And you decide to wander where the wolves fear to tread. I see. Perhaps I can help you if you're lost.
If you know where he is, that would be very helpful to us.
Perhaps that'd be a good idea. Of course.
Remember, this is an illusionary forest designed to trick you. Hikan whispers to Ziden.
I will require something in trade, though.
Do we hear this voice now too, or?
Make perception checks.
Also, robot seems to be disconnected.
Oh no!
Ooh.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Are you back?
I got that kind of vrrr noise, and then got no noise at all.
Oh.
Maybe a Discord thing then.
It worked when I disconnected and connected Discord, so probably a Discord thing.
Probably a Discord thing.
Discord's been doing a lot of bad things lately.
Yeah, it needs a bit of a bug check. But
Need new servers.
it's true. Yeah. So he says, well, I require something in trade. A pauper cannot help a pauper unless there's something that can be given.
Who or what are you?
Perhaps it'd be a true idea to come to me. We can speak face to face. Like true men of culture in this world, we will be capable of many great things. And as he says that, like, perceptively, some of the trees in a certain direction begin to bend slightly to the side.
He seems utterly trustworthy.
Yeah. With a nat 1 on an insight check, he seems like he's on the level. Like, he seems... I mean, it's difficult not to assess the fact that with his tone of voice and his choice of words, that there is something up here. But his motives behind this whole thing is a bit inscrutable.
He's part of the forest. I trust him.
A tree would never lie to me.
Exactly.
As I mentioned before, this could be treasonous.
God damn it, man. Oh, I need like a dedicated pun damage macro, don't I?
Yes, you do. You do. Definitely.
Oh dear. Alright.
Just be glad that I'm not playing a bard at the moment.
That's true.
You know Trevor.
I know Trevor. I definitely know Trevor. But yeah, so the rest of you see Ziden has spoken to himself largely, and then some of the trees have bent slightly in a certain direction, like as if to open up a corridor.
The voice I was speaking with at least wants to meet with us directly.
Be sure that's a good thing.
Of course.
Okay, that doesn't sound like Ziden. Who are you? And what have you done with our friend?
I asked
Hikan knows. Hikan knows trees aren't supposed to move like that.
We are in a...
With an 8 insight check, you're not exactly sure what's happening at the moment, but you've known Ziden for a while. You know that maybe maybe Ziden's trustworthy. Max has known Ziden for a very long time, and he knows he can put some faith into Ziden.
Double crit.
Okay, I'm going to try this as well because this is just silly.
Alright.
Fight Club. Yeah, but this is it just Max just there goes, yes, I love it.
So, the following results of 6, 8, 6, and 7 to insight this entire situation.
The dice love us, honest.
I honestly
I
do not
stand
think
by.
that Ziden is Ziden at the moment.
This is the effect of the woods. It doesn't mess with your perception. It messes with your insight.
Oh no.
True. Truly
But
must be
from a-
that.
To explain, okay. So we are currently in a unfamiliar domain with at least someone who seems to offer some guidance. If we were to just continue walking and walking, it's entirely possible to die out somewhere here like this without ever finding our target. This at least offers us a lead.
Well, I mean, what you say seems to be reasonable, and I follow Ziden, readying an Eldritch Blast just in case Ziden becomes, evil.
But he was the trees all along.
That's one of the things I want to do in a D&D game if a player turns up late, is just have the group continue on, and then when the player sits down, it's like, okay, so you wake up and you realize the rest of your party's disappeared. It's like, what? And it's like, yeah. Meanwhile, back with the party, your friend who you thought has been with you the entire time turns out to be a doppelganger. Oh dear. But yeah.
You shouldn't have told us that. You should have saved it.
No, I'll just have to wait like a couple of years and then spring it on you.
No.
And then it'll be a case of, oh no, he told us he was going to do it. Shit. But
No, you'll just do it exactly next time.
exactly next time. No one will see it
We'll
coming.
never expect.
So yeah, so you follow this newly forged path through the now bent trees. It's weird. It's like It's hard to describe how this very straight, long corridor of trees bending to the side to allow you passage seems to have come about. And there is an unsettling nature behind it, because you realize that really there shouldn't function this way. And maybe a couple of you kind of just put a hand out to see if the trees physically are there, and they do feel there. They do seem to be physically there, but it's... and after about half an hour of wandering and seeing these passing, the scenery passing by you, and despite the fact that the trees are bending, you look up and see that there is still a canopy of trees above you, just kind of blocking out all of the sunlight. Eventually the voice kind of picks up in all of your minds and says, "Hey, you found me."
Who's that?
This is the voice I was speaking of.
Oh, okay.
It's nice to have some new friends out in this woods. Oftentimes, it's good to have new companions when lost in the maze that is life. And you look around, you don't see an actual individual immediately. It just seems like another patch of woods.
If I don't see any immediate enemy or figure, I will cast Armor of Agathis on myself.
Okay. Everyone feel free to make perception checks, by the way, to see if they notice anything specifically odd about this location.
Does one of the trees look especially different?
Let's see, 22, 21, 14, and 17. Okay, so...
Now we're allowed numbers.
Yeah.
Now you're allowed numbers.
It doesn't mess with our perception, it messes with our insight.
So you kind of have a look around, and Max, you're the first one to notice, but eventually all of you clock on that one of the trees seems to have this clump of something at the foot of it. And as you get closer, you notice the hat and tattered clothes of what appears to be a scarecrow.
Oh, it's another scarecrow man. Hello.
Okay, I'm calming down a little bit now because I was having major flashbacks to something else.
I'm not using Fleur
I'm
de
good.
Mort. We're not using Fleur de Mort. I don't have rights to Fleur de Mort, and I'm not that cruel. But yeah, so as you kind of peer down and see this scarecrow, it's very slowly and shakily raises its head, and you can see where the whole kind of the sack head has been torn in places to give it almost a fairly malicious look to it. And perpetually smiling, it looks at him and says, "Hi, I'm Jean-Luc. It's nice to meet you."
What was the name of the one we found in the Echo of Hylia area?
I think that was also
Jean-Luc
Jean-Luc.
Orchard.
I'm 90% certain that was also Jean-Luc.
Yeah.
Does it look like the same Jean-Luc? Did he get over here somehow?
As you kind of scrutinize this scarecrow, it looks completely different. Even if it was in better condition, it looks like a different scarecrow. For one, Jean-Luc didn't have any legs.
Okay.
Jean-Luc Orchard didn't have any legs. Jean-Luc Firevine Forest seems to have legs. He's kind of leaning against a tree in this lazy sort of fashion. If it wasn't for the fact that he was covered in these fire vines as well, and with the hat tipped down, it looked like he'd be taking a snooze.
Hello, Jean-Luc.
Mr. Jean-Luc, do you know the other Mr. Jean-Luc?
There's another Jean-Luc? Oh.
Yeah, he's a scarecrow, and he's over at the Echo of Hylia. He was a really nice guy.
Oh, well, I wouldn't want to be taking no name from someone who is such a nice individual, as you would say. Perhaps I would not allow myself to be this hideous doppelganger of such a fine individual. For now, I shall take a new moniker, perhaps. Perhaps Pierre would have a nice ring to it.
Pierre sounds quite well.
So
Well, Pierre, what are you doing in this forest here?
I live here. This place is my
Doesn't
home.
seem like there's Doesn't seem like there's a lot of scares, crows to be scaring.
Not a lot of scares to be crowed.
Yeah, I was going to go for that, yes.
That's fine. He kind of shakes his head and says, "No, man. I don't know much of how I got to this twisted maze of vegetation and wonder, but I like it here. Many things have come about. Some people got wandered by, and I can chat to them as much as I like and listen to their life story, even if in one case their lives will shortly come to an end. I do hope that does not befall you, of course, and I can lead you to the man that you seek, but I do require something in kind."
What would you like?
There is a grove within these forests that I cannot tread, a place where even someone such as I cannot set foot upon. The soil there is too corrupt or too divine, I cannot quite say, but within there is a gift that I wish to possess, and to be truly honest, it is trivial by comparison to your needs, but it is something that I would desperately want to fulfill the life quest of this here scarecrow.
What is it?
Oh, it is a gem. There's something by the name of the Earth's Song, a small collection of fine stones that dwell beneath this tree, rather miraculous as well, but they're just, from what I've been told, they're so pretty, and I would love to own one for myself, but I don't want to be too much of a hassle.
Hikan pulls out the jade and the other stone that he's had for a while out of his pockets.
Okay.
Well, like pretty stones like these?
In a very shaky and slow kind of horror movie sort of fashion, he raises an arm, and you can see that his limbs are actually very long. Almost is like this small package of a person just curled up like this. It's weird, but he kind of stretches out his hand, and you can see at the end of his strawed hands like these metal claws, and he has the palm up as if to ask, like, to have you put it in his hand.
I put the jade in his hand.
Okay. So he very slowly brings it to his face and looks at it, and then with the other hand he takes it in his forefinger and thumb, and you can see quite, like, almost imperceptibly his there's a shake in his in both his forefinger and thumb, as if he's trying to squeeze the thing, but then he kind of puts it back in the other hand and then stretches it back out for you to take it back.
I take it back. I mean, at least he's being nice and not trying to cut up my hands.
He slowly reaches back and says, "As pretty as that is, I'm afraid my prize is something that has an unearthly value to it. Despite the name, of course." By the way, now that all of you guys can actually see this dude and speak to this dude, feel free to make insight checks if you want.
Oh, see if it goes well.
Finally, a number.
15,
15.
9,
Let's see.
I still trust him.
3.
Nope, that's a natural one.
And another 8.
Oh, god damn it.
So you, Max, you have to convince everyone.
It feels like this scarecrow is not telling you something about about these Earth Song things, and there's like a weird need for these crystals that he's asking for. The rest of you feel like, okay, well, if it's just a crystal, then maybe this isn't such a bad thing, and if he can lead us right to the hermit, I mean, sure, it seems sketch, but at the moment he's kind of our only lead.
Can we also make a roll to know about this Earth crystal thing he's mentioning?
That would be an Arcana check, ladies and gentlemen.
I got 15.
Well, Arcana I can probably do.
You said something about value.
That's a 16 for me.
That they magic.
Damn.
Max is just asking.
Okay. It says, well, I'm not rightly sure. I would think so if they'd randomly be spawning beneath a tree. After all, the tree that does not give birth to the stone. It is the earth that gives birth to the stone, no? Perhaps an adopted child of nature, perhaps. With the 15 and 16 in Arcana, you feel like you've heard something about the Earth Song somewhere. It's like old spells or old forms of ritual magic where someone would say the Earth's Song needs to be sung in order to complete this particular spell. So if he's mentioning something called the Earth Song, perhaps that's a component in it. Whether or not it is inherently magical is a different thing. But as it stands, you're not terribly sure.
Just to check, Pierre, given you were attempting to squish that other stone, these aren't some form of eggs, are they?
Oh, no. I don't believe they're eggs. It would be mighty weird if they were eggs. Eggs made of stone, perhaps that's where the Gorons come from.
Don't be silly, no one knows where Goran's come from.
They just are.
They just are, yeah.
What if they're like seeds for like this tree though? And
See,
like
my overall character was going to be a Gora barbarian, and if I had been here at this same time, I probably would have just had him shrug and go, I don't know.
I would have thought that you would have gone on the same rant Gimli would have done about people assuming dwarves just pop out of holes in the ground.
Well, if you're willing to give us direction, if we can find these for you, it's worth us at least trying to. You said you knew which way they were. Is there anything guarding them?
Oh, I'm unsure. When I wandered past that grove before, there was not a soul inside, at least from what I could see. But the moment I stepped upon the threshold of this grove, I felt there was something warning me of going in, something telling me that I should not go, and then I decided to heed those warnings. I'm not sure what kept me back, but I would not be surprised should there be actual residents in that home there. And,
Does anyone have any other questions?
Why don't we just try and find our own way? So far, the forest isn't seemingly like messing with us just like too much. I've heard some voices, but that's it.
It's always nice to help someone.
so you have one vote for find the things, and one vote for finding the hermit by yourselves. What is the rest of the party going to do?
Damn it, I can't just say I don't trust him right in front of him.
I mean, Max could.
I'd say you could go somewhere and say like, you could say, yeah, we're gonna move just over here to be out of earshot, but he heard you coming from like half a mile away. So...
Technically, if you want to be private at your discussion, you could just signal to Ziden, because he has the telepathy headset.
Well, then Max will look Ziden in the eye and tap the side of his head.
Ziden will activate his telepathy. Now it's only the two of them. Why, sir?
I don't know. Some off with the way he's asking about those gems.
I get the impression the gems are more than he's letting on, but...
There's just something off with them in general.
You said his head was split open, was it?
It's kind of like so if you take like a standard sort of burlap sack kind of mask that I think, like, was it the first time like Jason 2 sort of thing? It's kind of that, but someone has kind of raggedly cut a smile into it as opposed to it just being a bag.
Well, I suppose.
He's just a lot more. I don't know what the word is. Sinister than the other scarecrow we met.
I will spell slot cast detect magic.
Okay.
Mostly because I want to look at him and see if he's like his magic is mingling with the fire vines.
It's definitely a mix. I forgot what school of magic summoning thing, because I think it's evocation, isn't it? Or it's conjuration.
Conjuration.
Yeah. So it's
Evocation is like fireballs and shit.
yeah, okay. It's definitely a lot of conjuration magic has gone into this thing, which it kind of like adds a green to the blues and the purples and the reds, and like there's nothing else about it, more or less. It's primarily just conjuration. So he's either summoned or a genuine construct put here by someone else.
Okay, but is he like being consumed by the forest effectively?
It's hard to tell. I mean, considering the fact that when he beckoned you to come to him, he moved trees out of the way. It's reasonable to assume that it might not be consuming him. It's possible that he's either part of it or in direct control of it.
Well, Ziden still thinks we can at least look and see if there's something particularly threatening guarding these rocks. And always curious to learn more about the rocks themselves.
Okay. So, how does Hikan vote?
I mean, they're just rocks, right? I don't see why we can't give the guy a rock. I mean, he didn't like my rock, but...
It was a very pretty
Comes
rock.
right
But it's not the rock I desire.
Why do you... What's special about the other rocks?
I've just heard tale of their beauty. It is a fixation, I guess.
But you just said my rock was pretty.
It was.
I'm trying to outwit the scarecrow with a -2 intelligence.
Yep.
Can't figure out how to do it and stay in character.
If the telepathy master say to Ziden, maybe if we find out the rocks are dangerous, we can just say we couldn't get them out of the place.
Ziden will nod.
Oh, very well. Yeah, of course.
We can always see what it's like there and then make a decision after that.
Okay. So as you kind of turn to Pierre, he raises another hand and like points two fingers out, and then more trees in a different direction begin to part, and allow you passage in that direction. Says, head down that path, and you shall find yourselves in the place where your treasure lies. And by your treasure I do mean mine. But I shall provide you with the deal, as it were, and I shall point you in the direction of the old man.
Okay.
So,
We will head that way.
Okay.
All right.
And once more you begin to trudge in that direction for a good few miles. It's thankfully, because of the way he parted the trees, it's allowed you to actually get to it in a rather expedient manner. Under normal circumstances, it would impede your movement to have to trudge through such thick forest and all these vines and the thick undergrowth. But eventually you find yourself at a suitable... you find yourself at a clearing. This clearing in particular is remarkably interesting. In the center of this clearing is a very large tree. Said tree is at the very least 50 feet tall, and is probably the only tree in the Firevine Forest not consumed by these red vines. Surrounding it are 4 large boulders, and you can see a light blue glow emanating from the roots. It looks a bit like this. Everybody make insight checks as you enter.
I was actually going
19.
to
14.
assume you said insight 21.
21.
But since he said something was with the ground, and I know that we've done things in regards to blessing grounds before with the witch, so Tyrina could make sure that she wasn't raised from the dead. Hikan was going to nudge Tyrina. It's like, he said something was odd about the ground. Could you tell if something like that had happened or anything like that?
It's worth a shot. Let's see, what does Tyrina's divine sense do? Boom. Presence of evil. As an action, you can aware this text was until the end of its turn. Any celestial, fiend, or undead within 60 feet of you is not behind total cover. So she kind of looks out.
within the same presence, you also detect the presence of any place or object that has been consecrated or desecrated.
Okay.
Also, how long has it been
Until the
since
end.
the talk with Pierre and us finding this place?
It's been about half an hour.
Okay.
So she kind of eyes flash out. She looks around and says, It's weird. This ground seems to be consecrated in some sense, but not by a traditional divine magic. It seems more... What's the word? Begins with an F.
I have no idea.
Fae, I think is the word. Like fairies? The great fairies?
I was totally thinking of a different F word.
But yeah, so with the insight checks, as you arrive, even with a 14, stepping in this area, you feel unease. You feel like if you step any closer than you currently are, then bad things will happen. It's kind of like a weird queasiness feeling as you kind of stand in this area, so to speak.
I don't like it.
Yeah, didn't mention this at all.
He mentioned
he had a reason.
he felt unease.
He said he couldn't get near the tree.
Okay.
And honestly, I don't want to go near it either.
Try saying hello. If there's a sense of foreboding, perhaps there's a presence here.
Hikan shouts, "Hey!"
Let's see. How far am I from the tree? Oh, that's too far. That's definitely too far.
Hi! We met somebody that wants one of the rocks. Could we get one? Or a place to get to the hermit that lives in the woods? Either will work.
Your only response is the light breeze of the wind as it passes through, playing with the leaves of the central tree.
Well, I tried.
I don't think that would.
Can Ziden try saying hello in Kokiri?
Okay.
That might be more along the line of these spirits or whatever.
Yeah, you say hello in Kokiri. Once again, there is just the breeze.
Renji sighs, looking over at the others, and holding his rapier, says, "Should I just go in?"
If anyone should go in case it is something that can get people, it should probably be me, because I'm fast.
Fair enough. And I pull my shield from my back.
Before
I'm harder to hit.
I was going to say, before we go in, since we can actually see these rocks and tree now, can we identify them any better in any way?
Let's see. Well, make a nature check for the tree and make an arcana check for the rocks. They're quite small from the pile that you can see, but they do emit a light blue glow.
22 nature, 11 arcana.
20 arcana.
Okay. The tree itself appears to be a fairly sturdy oak tree. It's weird how, like, from where you're seeing, you don't believe it's been dug under, but from what you can see at the moment is that the actual roots of the tree hold it aloft over a small, like, basin under it, which is where all the stones are. Besides that, it seems like a fairly standard tree. It's healthy. It's doing well, so significantly better than the other trees in this forest are. But other than its elevation from the ground, there's not much else to report on it. With Max's Arcana, you look over and you see that. Actually, I will privately message you with this information.
Oh no.
No boy.
Information, a guarded secret.
Hey guys, we're not sponsored by anything, otherwise I'd make a D&D Beyond reference here.
You just made a D&D Beyond reference here. Also, vote for Liam O'Brien.
Beyond, guys.
Honestly, I really like that service. It works really well.
It's a very good service.
I just like that I can type up things and find it. And I actually, support the official release, so I'm good with that.
Max tilts his head at the rocks and then says, "Guys, what are those, that ghost that, we saw before? What was that called again?"
Hose?
Yeah.
Ghost? Oh, right.
That one guy with the pet shop.
The light, it looks like his lantern.
Oh, they're like... These rocks contain spirits, I guess?
I don't know, just what it looks like.
Good to know.
I'm starting to feel like Pierre's not very trustworthy.
Really?
Honestly, that sounds very fair.
So are we not gonna go get the rock for Pierre? We're gonna find our own way?
Guess. Yeah.
Okay. And then Hikan turns back to like the tree and the thing's like, well, thank you anyway. We decided against doing what we were gonna do. Thank you. Sorry to disturb you.
Once more.
We walk away.
Just from the breeze. And you walk away. Okay. You abandon the tree and you continue to wander through the forest. Now the trees are not parting for you. It's a bit more of a troublesome experience. I'd like for whoever is leading this procession to roll their survival.
I shall use guidance upon myself. And then do. For
25.
a total of 29.
Oh, 20. Oh, yeah, I forgot that's what guidance does. I thought it was like have advantage on a skill check, but no, it's add to a skill check.
Yes.
So with 29, once again, you kind of maneuver around. You feel like now that you've kind of denied Pierre his payment, his exchange, like denying his offer, the attempts to kind of mislead you seem to be a bit more malicious, as it were. Like on a couple of occasions, actually, there are times where some of the undergrowth seems to be covering pits or small drops, or something like a discarded bear trap or something like that. But you manage to navigate around it, and after a while, you kind of get what Pierre's game is, for lack of a better term. And eventually you do manage to find yourself back in the or you find yourself in a very interesting area. It's not so much of a clearing, but there's a hill that begins to very sharply have a very sharp incline, and the side of this hill appears to be a cave with a single unlit torch outside of the entrance. And because we kind of are running on limited time today, as well as the fact that the next section will take a very long time, I'm going to say that we're going to call the episode for today, and next episode might be a bit longer. It might just be a regular episode. Who knows? But in the meantime, thank you very much for listening and or watching. I've been ArticulateT, the Game Master, and with me today I've had Renji being played by NetherLad.
As always, a pleasure.
I have had Hikan being played by Alvarance.
I hope they got the message.
Yeah. Playing Ziden, I have had RoboPirate.
It's a shame he wasn't that trustworthy.
And finally playing Max, I've had Keastreth.
Turns out not all scarecrows are your friends.
And hopefully next time we'll have Sho being played by Steve. But in the meantime, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye!